guys, guess what? I'm out here at one of my Patreon's house, Dicky's like gonna loan me his $35,000 motorcycle today to ride in the bush. You know, how many people would actually do that? So what do you got, Dicky?
We got a 2023 Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer.
There's the beast.
With all the
2023
pieces on it.
How long you had her?
Less than a year. Probably. It's got 9,000 Ks on it. So.
Oh, jeez.
It's all right, mate. There's a few scratches on it already. It's been over a few times, so.
Yep. And the funny thing is, Dicky's actually already seen the video of me when I borrowed Andy's 1290 and the condition I took it back to him in. But this one doesn't have an acro on it, does it?
No, and standard exhaust, and it's got pannier racks.
It's well protected.
Yeah, you'll be right.
I'm actually really excited about riding this thing. So your background's pretty much road riding?
Yeah, mate, yeah. I learned on the road. I did 11 years, a bit of riding on the road.
Yeah. And
then mate got a Tiger 900. Started drawing me away, and yeah, once I got on the dirt, it sort of sucks you over to the dark side, doesn't it?
So that's your first dirt bike?
That's my first dirt bike, yeah.
At 35 grand.
Yeah.
Have you done anything to it, mate? Is it...
literally just the wider lone rider pegs.
Yep.
Down there, the swivel pegs, so they move. And then that's it.
That's it.
Everything else is stock, other than the tyres.
Oh yeah. All right, man. We'll get back to you.
No worries, eh?
Once
too easy.
Once we get a bit of dirt on the Tiger. Well, there we go, folks. Dodgy bike reviewer Josh back with another dodgy bike review. Now, you know, usual disclaimer, guys. I'm not an expert bike reviewer, but who doesn't like riding different bikes and, you know, putting them through their paces off road? So, of course, this is the 2023 Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer. Now, I believe the difference with the Explorer versus the Rally Pro is a bigger fuel tank, and there might be some other changes with the suspension, I think. Now, I'll just quickly go through some of the main specs of this bike, guys. We're not going to crap on too much about the technical side of it, but we're looking at an 1160cc inline 3-cylinder engine, cranking out 148 horsepower and 130 newton meters of torque. We're looking at a 30 litre fuel tank. The wet weight of the bike is 262 kilos, which is roughly on par with the KTM 1290 Adventure R, which I recently test rode as well. Now, obviously, you know, they're saying that this bike is pretty much direct competition for the big BMW GSs, but I haven't ridden one of those, so I can basically only compare this to what I know of the 1290. And you know, a lot of the stuff is the same. It's only 10 horsepower less than the 1290, so apparently they do have a little bit less download torque than the KTM, but yeah, similar sort of power specs. We've got a 6-speed gearbox, of course, with shaft drive, which is something different to the KTM. Again, KTM's a standard chain drive. Of course, the ideal off-road wheel combination, we're looking at 21-inch front, 18-inch rear, standard. We've got Showa 49mm semi-active forks and a Showa semi-active shock with auto preload adjustments. Yeah, you know, you put luggage or a pillion on the back of this bike and it automatically adjusts the preload, which is pretty cool. 220mm of suspension travel all around. Brembo brakes, usual sort of deal. 7-inch TFT screen. Seat height is 875, adjustable up to 895mm, so you've got about 20mm of play there in the seat height. And just on that, so far, it's not too bad. It sort of seems a little bit easier for me to get my feet on the ground compared to the 1290, and I think that might be to do with the fact that the seat's actually a little bit narrower. Service intervals, of course, are 15 or 16,000 Ks or 12 months, whichever comes first. Obviously, if you're riding off-road, mostly you'd want to do it a bit more often than that. And finally, the price of this bad boy. You're looking at KTM 1290 money for this one, guys. 35k. So, you know, not a cheap bike, but, you know, they do have all the bells and whistles. There's stuff that, you know, I'm not going to use or really go into much. You know, it's got cruise control. It's got, you know, blind spot radar, so these little lights on the mirrors light up if you've got someone in your blind spot. We've got a bunch of different rider modes. We've got heated grips, heated seat, heated pillion seat, all that sort of gear. There's probably a whole lot more stuff that I'm failing to mention, but yeah, that's the basics of it, guys. Now, I do also plan on taking the big Tiger through my time trial loop today, guys. If you've seen those videos, I've taken the T7 and the 690 through it. So we'll see how the big Tiger goes. Obviously I'll be riding it a little bit more carefully than I would my own bike, but I still want to push it. One thing I can tell you straight off the bat so far is you don't want to be riding on the dirt in road mode, because that lean angle sensitive traction control won't let you spin the back wheel at all. It won't even start slipping. It'll just start flashing as soon as you're going around a corner on the dirt and you give it a little bit of gas, it'll just say no. Okay, here we go. Now this bike does have a fob system, same as the KTM 1290. So there's no key, you just have the little fob in your pocket or whatever. So you kind of got a rocker switch here, guys, that turns it on and off and all that sort of stuff and starts it. Yeah, I think you have to wait a little while for the screen to come up before you can start it. But anyway, we'll switch modes. So we're on road at the moment. There's a little toggle. So there's a mode button here that I just press to get into the different modes, and then we just toggle up and down with the little joystick here. Now I'm not going to be messing around with rider modes and stuff too much, guys. Dickie's recommended for me the Off-Road Pro. As a lot of you guys know, and I've said in videos before, I like having all the power all the time. I don't want a half-assed bike. If I buy a 1200, I don't want electronics telling me when I can skid the wheel and shit, That's a matter of personal preference, of course, and I don't judge anyone who enjoys mucking around with rider modes. Another good thing about this bike is, guys, unlike the KTM, you don't have to pay extra money to unlock all the modes. You buy the bike, you got full access to all the stuff already, so there's not a, $2,000, $2,500 or whatever it is, extra cost if you want to unlock rally mode and all that stuff. And then we just hit the button down here again to start. Clutch has to be in. Let's go. Now, this bike does have a quick shifter as well. Now the stock exhaust is really quite quiet, but when you get up it does have quite a nice deep roar, which sort of a deep throaty roar, which I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but oh shit. Whoa. Now Dickie did warn me about the stalling like that. It doesn't sort of just slowly conk out, it just stops. And apparently that can be fixed with mapping and fueling, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Brakes are very good. But yeah, the suspension's all stock on this too. I'm pretty sure that this rider mode that I'm in is Dickie's got the preload set to max. Yeah, just because I'm riding in Off-Road Pro mode definitely does not mean that I am an Off-Road Pro, as you're going to no doubt see in this video. There's a couple of little tricky bits up here. I do not want the bike to stall. Yeah, I don't think I want to go up there on this bike at the moment. I just yeah, I'm not quite ready to hit that on the big Tiger just yet. Turn around and find another track. Apparently this bike does have hill assist, but it's letting me roll back, with the clutch in, which is good. It's one thing that really annoyed me on the 1290. I couldn't roll the fucking thing back. Yeah, we do have tubeless tyres on the bike as well. Which is probably a good thing, because I have heard that, I don't know if it's because of the shaft drive or what, but yeah, apparently it's a real mission, like a workshop job to get that rear wheel off. Holy moly. Whoa! Fucking dickhead. Oh, she's a big lumbering thing over those erosion mounds. doesn't take much at all to bottom out that rear. I just felt it clunk a little bit there, and that wasn't even a big erosion now. So we won't be jumping this bike. Alright, and we'll try ripping up through the gears with the quick shifter. Now I don't want to sound like I'm ripping on the KTM 1290 at all, guys. I love that bike, I love the power of it, the suspension was awesome. It's just a terrific bike, but it did have a few little niggling things, and one of them was if you happen to bump that shift lever up a tiny bit, not meaning to change gears or whatever, it would cut the power to the engine ready to change the gears, so you'd just be like thrown over the handlebars if you weren't sort of ready for it. With this one, you know, it either changes gears or it doesn't. It won't just cut the engine and not change gears. If you try to do it slowly, it just won't change gears. If you do it quickly, it changes gears. So none of that cutting out of the power, throwing you over the handlebars. As I said, it's not a huge thing, but it is one thing that Andy mentioned to me about the 1290. But yeah, like sitting position on this bike though, the seat is the lounge, it's beautiful. It's really quite comfortable to sit on and ride. The handlebars are probably a little bit too far forward for me. I'm sort of having to reach over. But yeah, other than that, very comfortable. Nice wide handlebars. Standing up on this is just as good as the T7. It's beautiful. There's really good wind protection on this bike too, like the screen and the fairings and everything, probably because of that wide tank as well. Really good. Bugger all buffeting with that screen where it is. So shooting the wind straight up over the top of my helmet. Now, can we use the cruise control in off-road pro mode? Yes, we can use cruise control without turning the traction and ABS back off. So that is cool. And yeah, cruise control is one thing that I really could get down with. That's so cool. You're on long rides and that throttle hand starts getting sore and you wish you had cruise control. But yeah, it's got that very nice rev matching on the downshift with the quick shifter. Yeah, I do like the power of this bike. Like it's kind of like it wants you to keep twisting that throttle. It's very it very much wants to go, and yeah, that could be dangerous for the old license. But anyway, we're not here to test it on the road. We're all about the off-road on this channel. Let's get on the dirt. Don't ask me how I know, but it'll get up to 150 really quickly. No problem at all. Like the gearbox is smooth, it feels smooth, it changes gears, no worries at all, very smoothly. But it does sort of sound a little bit clunky. But you know, no gearbox could ever live up to the mighty KLR 650. That's probably the smoothest gearbox bike I've ridden so far. I guess they can build it smooth when it's only got to deal with 15 horsepower. Just kidding, Juddy. Yeah, so far no dramas with the forks, but yeah, this rear shock bottoms out very, very easily. This sort of stuff, this is, you know, if I was going to ride like this sort of stuff all the time, this bike and the 1290, you know, they're made for it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's got a, that bottomed out a tiny bit there. It's got to be a bit careful though. I don't want to do any damage to the suspension. do any damage to the tyre though. Alright, time for a quick coffee break. Us old blokes need breaks, we need coffee. So if I was to give my thoughts on the bike so far, I think I'd probably say a lot of the same things I said about the KTM 1290. Now, these bikes obviously they're built for a purpose, and that is touring, dirt roads, power. Taking them into the rough stuff, you know, it's fun. That's why I do it. But yeah, it comes down to what you're doing with the bike. And like I said, I wouldn't buy one of these or a 1290 to do the sort of riding that I prefer doing. You know, I like to get off the main tracks and explore a bit, and you know, get into the bush. And these bikes, while they can do it, you know, if I was a younger, fitter bloke and I could pick it up a lot easier and manhandle it better, you know, it'd be a fun bike. And you know, you could do everything on it. You could ride around Australia in comfort on something like that. And you know, if you got the skills, you can ride it in the rough stuff as well. Yeah, the only issue I've had so far was that stall, that one stall, and you know, the revs weren't that low. It was a bit surprising that it did stall there. It hasn't happened again since, but we'll see how we go. Now, speaking of putting these big bikes through the rough stuff, I'm thinking maybe doing my time trial loop will be a pretty good test. So I'll do that next. So it's not far from here. But I can tell you now that I'm pretty confident that I'm going to take longer on this bike to do the loop than I did on either of my bikes, the T7 or the 690. And one big reason of that is because of the suspension. It's way too undersprung for going too quick over those erosion mounds and stuff, so I'm gonna have to take it pretty easy over those. But more than being interested in how long it takes, I'm more interested in whether I can actually get around that loop without any trouble. I think it could be quite interesting. There's a couple of tricky little bits in there, but yeah, we'll pedal the big 1200 around that loop and see how she fares. Alright folks, here we go, the time trial. Usual starting spot. So far I'm not really finding any problem with the download grunt of this bike. I mean, when you're talking about an engine of this size with that much power, you know, it's always going to have plenty of low down torque. Now just remember guys, I'm not going for record speed here. Just want to get this bike around this course in one piece, hopefully without any dramas. And I cannot launch it over stuff like that. Yeah, if I hit any of these too hot, that back end's going to bottom big time. Yeah, I don't think we'll have any dramas getting around this course on this bike. She's once she's moving, she's like any bike, big dirt bike. Pull up. Whee. Oh, yep, that was the forks blowing out. Brake. Yeah, I do not want it to stall up here. No worries. I know that looks like absolutely nothing on the video, but it's a steep little son of a bitch with no run up. This one steep too, but plenty of run up. Just got to be careful of those. Oh no! You see, this is the trouble. That's totally blown my time out of the water, but as I said, it's all about getting around it, not the time. So I'm going to grab my saw out and cut that shit out of the way. Bike definitely needs a side stand foot enlarger. I wonder if SRC make one, because yeah, it's got a tiny little kickstand foot that sinks into the dirt quite easily. Alright, trusty silky saw made short work of that son of a bitch. What mode are we going to be in now? Yeah, back to road mode. Alright, fun continues. Yeah, we'll get around this. Yeah, I reckon, you know, with a bit of a suspension upgrade, especially on the rear, but yeah, definitely, I mean, probably the front as well, this bike could be, you know, pretty bloody good for doing this sort of stuff. It seems capable. It's just, yeah, you just can't hit those big bumps as it is at the moment. Whoa, there was a little bit of a rut in that. Caught the front wheel. Got plenty of tricky stuff to get through yet, folks, so sit tight. Yeah, you can definitely have this up in a higher gear and lug it a bit. It's got plenty of torque, man. But those brakes work well. Yeah, Dickie did say launch it over these bloody erosion mounds, but yeah, considering how easily it bottoms, I don't want to do damage to that shock. Yeah, the power's good. The power is good. It's fishtailing everywhere. Don't know if I'm keen enough to go up that quarry section on this. It's sketchy, man, on a big heavy bike like this. Maybe I could take the outside line around the quarry. It's not quite so bad. Have a look. Yeah, if you guys saw the other time trials going up the left side of the quarry, there's it's really soft and you can't get a nice straight run up for that last steep bit, so I'll go around the outside here, just in first gear, should be good enough. No steep bits along here, just rough. No problem. Yes, that last steep bit there. It just wants you to twist that throttle. The grin factor. Alright, so there's a whole bunch of... Oh! Yep, just stalled then. See, those revs weren't really that low then. I was in second, but... yeah, it's very, like, without warning. Yeah, Dickie was trying to explain it to me how it does that, and yeah, he's pretty much on the money. Like it, yeah, just like with most bikes, you sort of get a little bit of a warning that it's going to stall. This thing just conked out mid-flight. I'd be getting that sorted ASAP if it was my bike. It's really annoying. I mean, it's only done it twice, but you know, there's situations where it can really stuff you up. But yeah, you get up on the pegs on this bike, man. It's It feels good. Feels good. Oh, it almost wanted to stall then too. Yeah, that's not cool. Yeah. So yeah, that little problem definitely trumps any of the little issues that I had with the 1290. Definitely not good. Now this is going to be sketchy, man. It's still wet and slippery down here. Slow it down a bit. Just want to keep it under control. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, here we go. Hanging it out. I'm finding myself, you know, sketching out because of that stalling now. Come on. Might have to knock her back to first for this bit up here. Right, tight little corner. That was sketchy. That's a little bit steep there. Yeah, I sketched out then. Couldn't quite get back into the mojo. This does not look steep, and it's not super steep, but it is loose and a little bit tricky. Just couldn't get back on it then. Wanted to get back up on the pegs and shit, but wasn't happening. I was surprised it didn't stall through any of that stuff, to be honest. Oh, baby. Just can't see what's in that bloody rut. Sketchy. I knew I had to get that little bit of momentum up with that erosion down, man. So yeah, like, I'm not making excuses for the bike or anything like that, but if I hadn't stuffed that up, it wouldn't have been a problem. It's just one of those things. I think a lot of my problem comes down to the fact that I think I can jump on a fucking big bike like this and ride it like it's a T7. You know, they're definitely in a different class. It's a big heavy lump, man, and you got to give it the respect it deserves. This is Tiger 1200 country. Loving it. Sweet. Too bad. Yeah, she just wants to take off underneath it, but the sand. Not my friend on this bike, on any big bike really. Especially one that's prone to stalling a bit. So far so good. Okay, the rock section here. And finally the bog hole section. Hopefully it's not been too chewed up by the 4Bs lately. Oh, see, big tiger handle, that stuff, no worries. It's definitely a little bit drier than the last few times I've come through here. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the time trial loop, guys, and the mighty tigress did it. No worries at all, not a problem. She's looking a little bit dirty, but certainly no worse for wear. Handled it like a boss. Yeah, look, it's definitely not as easy to ride through some of that stuff as a smaller bike, even the T7. Certainly the 690 handles that stuff a lot easier. But it did it. It did it, no worries. Yeah, I know there's probably no point looking at the time it did it in. The fact is, it was just a test to see if it could do it. But the time was, for anyone that's curious, so the other two bikes did it in around about 30 minutes. It took 42 minutes and 45 seconds that time, but obviously I had to stop and cut a branch out. Moving time, it says here 35 minutes. So, you know, that's probably a bit closer to what it actually was. Yeah, I would say, you know, if I had pre-run the track on this bike and made sure all the branches and stuff were out the way and, you know, got a bit more used to the bike, I probably could have got it close to that 30 minutes. You know, there was a couple of places I stuffed up and, you know, took a bit extra time. You know, the bike's been great. There's just those two things that I would pick on. The suspension, especially the rear. Front needs a bit of beefing up as well. But yeah, the suspension and that stalling, the two only issues that I'd really complain about with this bike. Otherwise, you know, she's a goer. She's a goer, man. You just twist that throttle and yeah, it's good times. So for what it's worth, which bike would I buy? If I had a cool 35 grand sitting in the bank and I was looking for a big adventure tourer, would I go the KTM 1290 or the Tiger? Now this is basing it on Andy's KTM, which, you know, did have the suspension worked a bit and, you know, had a few extra bits and pieces bolted onto it. I'd probably go for the KTM, to be honest, guys, and that's not to say there's anything wrong with the Tiger. The Tiger's a great bike as well, but that shaft drive and not being able to take that rear wheel easily off if you get a flat or whatever, that's a little bit of a deal breaker for me. And also the fact that Dickie was telling me to get to the air filter on this bike, it's even worse than the Africa Twin. It's like a tank off job, and yeah, it's a big job just to get to the air filter. That plus I think that even though Andy's 1290 suspension was worked, the 1290's stock suspension I think is going to be a lot better than this, and also it doesn't have that stalling issue. That's not to say that the KTM's perfect, but yeah, that's just my opinion, guys. And again, I'm not knocking the Tiger, it's a great bike. You also got to take into consideration the fact that you've got to pay extra for the quick shifter and all the modes on the KTM, whereas this comes with everything pretty much standard. I think I'd be tempted to put a louder pipe on this too, just because I can tell it's a great sounding motor, but I'd want it a bit louder. Yeah, as you guys saw, I did drop the bike. Thank God it was in the sand, because you know, Dickie's only got the stock plastic handguards on there. Sand's not going to do any damage to the bike. You know, I got lucky there. And yeah, it was a slightly different situation, but I did find this easier to pick up than the 1290, even though it's got a full 30 litres of fuel on board. But yeah, it wasn't quite the same predicament that the 1290 was in. Now all I got to do is get it back to Dickie without crashing it. And I think I'm out of the woods. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. You know, the Patreon is the only way I can keep doing this channel, guys. If you enjoy these videos, please consider helping out with a few bucks a month. It will really make a big difference, you know, if you can afford it. I don't want people to go without stuff just to help support me, but you know, if you can afford a couple of bucks a month, that'll be really good. Anyway, on that, we'll see you guys soon. Stay safe out there, eh? Catch you later. Alrighty, big girl's had a bath. Go fuel her up and take her back to Dickie and show him the damage. No, thankfully there's no damage. So yes, I have returned the Mighty Tiger back to its owner in one piece. Pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it looks good. No new scratches.
Yeah, thanks again, man.
Too easy, eh?
Fucking legend.
How good to have a channel, man. It's good.
Yeah. Hopefully the video's been okay, guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. You know what to do.
That's it. Like and subscribe.
Like and comment.
And comment.
And
yeah,
share.
Yeah.
Alright guys.
Too easy.
See you next time.
See you later.